Bit early, but let's get started, shall we? I was impatient to get this ball rolling. Shut up, Windows. Now, you may be surprised to see Final Fantasy Tactics on the screen here, especially with how I've recently spoke about how I feel about Final Fantasy a few times. But we are here doing Dragonpelago 6, otherwise known as the Archipelago Argokoth runs for the Dragon Council, basically whenever he can. Shocking concept, it's the 6th one. But we've got 33 total games this time. I'm only participating with 2 of them. I've got Final Fantasy Tactics Ivalice Island, which I'll get to what that means in a moment, just bear with on that one, and Castlevania Portrait of Ruin. Kept it a little simple this time, because I was anticipating this being a busy month. It has not ended up as busy as I feared, but we'll get to that also after. In this batch, I know we have a couple people playing Expedition 33. We have at least one person playing Double Dash. You can see some of them popping up in the corner there. We've got Wintergust doing StarCraft 2 again. There's a lot of repeats from last time because people have things that they're good at and they particularly like doing. Like Astral Hammer's doing 3 time spinners this time. Mori's doing Celeste and something else, and it's blanking in my brain what the other one is. Howdy Rainbow, how you been? Hopefully you're doing well. Yeah, we got like 3 Ocarina of Times. Cassius is doing Link Between Worlds again. Starting to blank on the rest of the lineup. You'll see them all popping up down there though. You'll get the idea. Point being, there's a lot of people playing a lot of things. I did not join VC today, even though there is a bunch of people in it, because I've got a headache, and honestly, I'm just not feeling sociable in that regard right now. It would be a little too much to ask at the minute. So, as to Final Fantasy Tactics' randomizer we've got going on right now, you'll notice the map is filled out a lot more than the beginning of Final Fantasy Tactics normally would be. I have access to whatever I get the pass items to get to, and we got a lot of the passes already. Like, when I was testing this, I was used to being locked to going over to Lenalia, Igros, and I believe Zekro Falls was usually in the range as well, and Zeklaus. That was the extent of my distance, usually, is I could go to those places and anything in between. Because people have been active in this archipelago for the past few hours already, they found me a bunch of passes, a bunch of the Zodiac Stones, which I do need to finish the game, is what I need is all of the Zodiac Stones and then go do the final battle over in Murond Death City for this, basically. And for Portrait of Ruin, I just gotta go beat Dracula. Typical thing there. Nothing too wild. You know how that goes. Now you'll notice how every dot on the map is red. I can do every battle in the game freely at any time, as long as I can get to the location. That's how Ivalice Island works. It essentially turns Final Fantasy Tactics into an open world game, which is very interesting. Makes it complicated at times to remember what order to do things in and what will actually be reasonable and doable. And as such, there also will be no standard chapter transitions. Instead, Ramza, the main character, has his job of upgrades locked in as items out in the world. You'll notice we only have Squire and Chemist. That's another thing I'll get into more detail about in a minute. Normally, you obviously only have those, but I would actually not have had Chemist if somebody hadn't found it for me. But again, more on that in a minute. I'm gonna press a button now, and a magic trick's gonna happen. Welcome back from the ads, those who had to deal with the initial ad screen there. Aaron missed part of the explanation. I was just talking about how the randomizer for this works. Nothing vitally important. But if I press L2, we go to a new screen as part of Ivolus Island. And it will allow me to pick up a couple things that people have sent that I could not otherwise access. Because they had to do a few weird things to make this function. Specifically, any characters that get sent to me, in this case Agrius, who is going to be stuck only being level 1 because I went in here to grab her too early, is they will scale to the level you open this menu at, I do believe. But we'll take her on anyway in case I want to make use of Agrius. The other thing this menu does will make itself apparent in a second. There is going to be a lot of load screens on this, by the way. That is the one downside to this. Ta-da! We are now Chapter 2, Ramza. So he has the, like, one extra move that he gets in his Squire ability pool as a result of that. So whenever I see somebody send me progressive Ramza job upgrade, that's what that means. That will allow him to gain his next chapter's ability. So now we have access to Cheer Up, which I probably won't use anytime soon, but it's a thing. Now, as to the jobs, getting to the required levels for jobs is now a check that will send whatever the item locked into those spaces is out to whoever it belongs to. I do not get that job. The jobs don't exist unless somebody else finds it out in the multi-world somewhere and sends it to me. Or I find it in my own checks. It's very weird, and it makes the progression of this game get very strange, because you can then use the job without meeting the level requirements. I had ninjas right after squires in one of the test files, for example. Didn't even have any knights, didn't have thieves, didn't have anything. Just suddenly ninjas. And it broke things wide open. But that also means that as soon as we get a job, everyone can have it. Which makes things interesting as well. Now, as usual for the way this game starts, you do get a random set of squires, and we actually got a decent crop of them this time. Galair here with 74 Brave, definitely going to be a frontline fighter. Ralph, pretty good bravery. Faith, also going to be a frontline fighter. Leopold here can do whatever the hell he wants. Over 70 for both. He is going to be my favorite son. He is going to be protected as best I can, because he's going to be the most useful man in this party. Unfortunately for Tess, below 50 for both is kind of rough. Might not be that useful. Ditto for Maria. Maria has the worst starting bravery and faith out of the party, and he is okay. Now, you might be wondering why does these bravery and faith stats matter? To my knowledge, faith impacts all of your magic capabilities, and bravery impacts all of your physical capabilities, more or less. Like, that's the short version. If you want the deep information, go ask somebody who's dove into this game, because millions of people have turned this game inside out mechanically. Like, obviously you have your move, your jump, your speed, your weapon power, your attack of both kinds, and your evasions, but these are then further impacted by the bravery and faith, to my knowledge. Now, the other neat thing is people have been sending us items. So we already have a really good shield, a crossbow, a good staff. We even have, I think, one of the... I don't know if this is one of the best staves in the game, but it's up there. It's very silly, see how this is all played out. Problem is, basically nobody's going to be able to use most of this. I can put this shield on and be really durable. That's about the best we got there. We didn't get any armor other than this black costume, which is really good because it's going to be a lot of health. Because for those that don't know, all of your health is dictated by armor. And your level, to a certain degree, in this game. Like, level, job, and armor, basically, are your main ways to not die. And since it's game over, if I die, I'm obviously going to be the one wearing the armor, or that we have at the moment. Half Dark and canceling Confusion and Charm is not bad, but it's not worth giving up a bit of movement for in my mind at the moment. Unless I knew I was walking into a situation where I was going to need to worry about that. Now, the statement about knowing that I'm going to need to worry about something is going to be an interesting situation that we're going to get into explaining more about in a minute. I'm going through and grabbing Phoenix down with everybody that can first, and then we'll discuss that further in a second. Because everybody starts with a random amount of job points as well. Okay, so only a couple people were able to get useful access to item. We're gonna give everybody item anyway, because it's the only secondary skill we have. And better to have one just in general anyway. So let me double check. You do all start with potion, right? Yeah, everybody starts with potion. Okay. Now, the other thing I was going to talk about before I got going here is you might know what the... Oh, hey, we got our next Ramza job form, so how about I go ahead and show that off? We're gonna be in Chapter 3 Ramza before we've even taken a step. This is why I have the randomizer warning on screen, because there's gonna be things that aren't gonna make any sense happening. It went through the ally check. Now it's gotta load the other screen. It's interesting that it doesn't just load to the only screen that has any actual use here, but I guess it has to do both checks. Ta-da, we got fancy blue armor now. And we'll have yet another move added to our pool. I'm getting that now so that I don't end up grabbing more characters that I either don't want or don't want to grab yet till I have higher levels to make them useful. So we don't end up with another Agrius situation where they end up being kind of nerfed. Yeah, as you can see, we now have Scream. Scream I might actually use. Raise one's brave level, speed level, and magic... physical and magic attack powers by shouting. You ever just scream so loud you get stronger? Oh, actually, there's one more thing to do in this menu, and it's for you, Tia. Because we have a pee bag, which only women can use. So that'll be useful for her to have. And she's getting it because she's the most useful of the lady squires we have. Now, to finally finish the thought I was trying to get at across, though, even if you're familiar with every battle in this game, that information is useless, because I've randomized every encounter. Every fight has every enemy in it randomized. Their level will still be scaled appropriately, depending on whether it's a story encounter where their levels are set, or if it's a random encounter where their level scales to me, they will still be whatever. The only enemies that are not randomized in the pool are the demons. They're all still in their own spots, they're all still locked to their normal positions. Something I learned is the human forms they wear are out in the pool, but their demon forms are still where they belong. So, as I mentioned, I do only need to do the final battle as far as that goes, so technically I don't need to interact with any of the demons if I don't end up running into them along the way. I only have to beat one, technically. We're probably going to end up fighting a bunch of them because of just trying to get checks, because every battle is a check in and of itself. Every job unlock, so reaching the level requirement for a job, is a check. And every character recruitment is a check. So anytime you would run into a character that would join your party as a permanent character, that's a check. So when Agrius would have normally joined me, for example, is still a check out in the world. specifically going over here Fort Zeekton is going to be very important to us, because that's going to trigger a lot of checks. We'll explain more on that when we get to it, because we got some fighting to do. We're going to start here in the normal starting spot of fighting here in Guyland, and then we're going to go through mostly standard fights up until we get to a point where I'm comfortable. But there's one more thing I forgot. There are shop levels that people can send me. They've already sent me 2, so we already have access to a shop as if we had done a few story encounters already. And since we have money, why don't we get ourselves better equipped? It's going to unscale some of the encounters a little bit, but it'll make my life easier. Right along with that is grabbing a healthy stock of Phoenix Downs, eye potions that we cannot currently use but will be able to use soon, and a very healthy stock of regular potions. There we go. And we still have money left. So let's go beat people up after I save the game, shall we? Now, I was considering toying with this randomized to begin with, but the randomizer I had been playing previously was a little too inconsistent even for a randomizer. Like, it would randomize to such a degree that I could not handle it. This is at least a little more coherent. But notice we have a menu here. You can do every encounter that's in a location by pressing R2. That's the other neat thing this does. So you can trigger any story battles that are at a location, and there's the rare encounters in locations that are available in this menu. They will not be available to me yet. You need to hit store level 8. That's just a requirement that the randomizer put on its own in order to be able to access that. Yeah, this is probably going to be our lineup for a while, unless I get a job sent to me. Which we are going to start converting people to chemists here soon, too. I just want to get everybody some squire levels right quick, and then I probably am going to turn, like, basically the entire party into chemists. Oh, hey, there's the Limberry Pass. I think I have the entire map now. And of course I get night the second I go into a battle. We will be skipping the cutscenes, so if you want to see cutscenes, you're going to the wrong fights here. The fact that they are starting with wizards is upsetting. Literally all of the problems that I had in testing seem to have been made irrelevant here, with the fact that there's a lot more people playing. And the sheer amount of checks certain games have in their pools have also really made this go wild fast. Because ordinarily I was dealing with, in testing, like 500 checks. Some of the players here have more than that in just one game. Because I believe the people playing OOT, for example, have Grass Sanity and goofy nonsense like that on. So they have a very high amount of checks available that they can hit very quickly. The Time Spinner game, I believe, also has their lanterns and such randomized based on what I saw in some of the checks popping up. And there's a lot of lanterns in that game that you can end up hitting. I did do a couple funny things with Portrait of Ruin, but we'll get to that when we get to Portrait of Ruin. Which will probably be a while. Because based on how much territory we have to work with, I can probably do a lot. There's one junk item that I'm used to seeing a lot of that I'm kind of surprised hasn't popped up yet for this game as well. I was planning on avoiding talking about it until it popped up, but there's job points that can be given to me out in the pool to just give me job levels and give me abilities pretty quickly and pretty freely. So my characters were getting, like, disgustingly strong very quickly in testing. It seems to not be the case with how it's playing out this time. And that's why I was worried about the wizards, by the way, is the immediate nuclear option occurring. Thankfully, they mostly just killed Delita, so it doesn't really matter. Now, we got Boko the Chocobo sent to us now, too, so we'll grab him if I want. He's probably gonna just stay in the box as a mascot, though. So I'm not really that much for using monster characters in this game in particular. I do use them a decent amount in advance on occasion, when I have a setup that allows me to have them. You hop over and heal him, since you don't have anybody you can reach to attack right now. I'm not going to be spending the time to sit here and do a detailed explanation of how Final Fantasy Tactics works beyond what I've already talked about, by the way. If you have questions, I'll answer them as we go, but this game's so well known that I don't anticipate I need to explain too much there. Like, I'll explain things as part of my thought process as we go as well anyway, so you'll figure it out. And you can see based on the tracker down there that people are swapping around between their games. Yep, he's dead anyway. The good news is people don't die completely immediately. That's what those little numbers you see over people's heads are. That number means they have that many turns of their turns before they turn into either a chest or a crystal. Right now, I would prefer it if people turned into chests, I think. Crystals would be nice, but they're not as helpful. Now, the reason why I brought Phoenix Downs on as many people as I could is because of picking people back up, but she doesn't have Phoenix Down, so that doesn't help anything. She's gaining health because of the P-Bag, by the way. P-Bag gives you regen, so she will just have the ability to get health back all the time. The good news about this being a bunch of wizards is they're fragile, but wizards in this are not actually as fragile as they are in some games. I think I have Phoenix Down. I do. On your feet. You probably are gonna just get exploded again, but on your feet. Yeah, I thought I timed that badly. Not that I had a lot of choice because of the turn timing. But, you know. They're casting Cure, so they had black and white magic, apparently. Real shame it's not going to cast fast enough. Shame for them, that is. Goodbye. Frequently, I would just bully one enemy in a corner to grind job experience and regular experience off of them. Even going so far sometimes as to revive my enemies just to beat them up again. But under the circumstances of what we're going to be getting, I'm not going to worry about that. I am going to, however, keep bringing this guy back to life for the moment. Our guy, that is. Because I get experience every time I bring him back, so at the very least, I can give myself experience that way. Oh, we did just get a new helmet. Shame I won't be able to wear... Oh, wait, no, we have knights. We have access to knights. Funny story, by the way. That's the first time in 3... This is the 3rd seed, because I did 2 test seeds. This is the first time in 3 seeds that I've seen knights. Almost every seed I did before this gave me Oracle before anything else. Actually, no. I say almost every... No, every seed I did before this gave me Oracle first. I got Chemist very early, then Oracle, and then I would get other things. So I fully expected that that was how this was going to play out again, that was just like part of how the randomizer for this logic went. But clearly that's not entirely the case. But also, randomizer logic gets a little funky when multiple people playing multiple games are in play. Ooh, the burnt key for Portrait of Ruin. That'll be very useful. If that doesn't make any sense with somebody who has knowledge of Portrait of Ruin, don't worry, I'll explain why that actually is a thing later when we go to play that. There's our first battle one. They thought they could rob a bunch of kids. Kids murdered them. We found... Oh, right! So Draco's playing Diddy Kong Racing. We found him his balloons for that stage. So I think that's actually useful. I believe without that, the item balloons don't exist on that stage. Which, as you might imagine, for a racing game like that is not great. Yeah, if you'll take a look, we have knights now. We can just make everybody into knights. I'm not gonna do that immediately, at least not with everyone. I will make me a knight. This does mean I'm actually gonna lose health a little bit, because I can't wear the black costume, but I can wear the patina helmet that we just got, and keep the Kaiser shield. I'm gonna be heading off in front of everybody to buy them time, basically, to do what they need to do. That's gonna be my purpose in life now. Don't worry about the fact that I'm not wearing any armor on my torso. We'll be fixing that in a minute, using mechanics that I will explain very soon. But first, we're gonna turn everybody into chemists. Because we did get a level 2 Squire, right? Yeah, we have level 2 Squire. Which means there should have been a check sent out for the Knight requirement, too. Or is it 3 for Knight? There's gonna be times where my brain just kind of fails me today, as far as what the exact requirements for jobs are. Worst case, we'll pick it up later. It'll be fine. I'm not gonna stress over it right now. It's gonna mean we get nowhere fast if I stress over that. And grab you, gain GP up, which is part of why I wanted them to have a bit of Squire experience. Is gain GP up just means they'll gain more job points from everything they do. Which means they get better faster. And if they get better faster, we end up stronger. Simple as. Now, I could stay a Squire myself longer and save up for things like Scream, but I don't think I have any need for that. You didn't get enough, so you're just gonna be sad. This is also why I didn't buy Throw Stone on any of them, by the way, is because wasn't really gonna use it much, so it's not a big deal. It does very little damage, even though it is their only means of attacking at a distance. Galar, you were potentially going to be the one that gets to keep that, but no, Leopold's going to be the one that gets the good armor because of the fact that he is the best we've got. So he gets preferential treatment. He needs to be preserved. I'm not going to bother changing Tess and Maria into anything right now, because their statistics are terrible. So they will stay as what they are. They will pick up points to be used as filler if things go horribly awry from the items we get given. So I'm not going to worry about them right now. Okay, all of you are set up with that. It's going to be slow going at first, by the way, because I'm going to be opening these menus a lot as brain starts clicking along and kicking into what I'm trying to do here. Now, the reason I'm excited about Knight is not actually anything to do with Knight itself, by the way. All this break stuff, not what I'm excited about. The ability to equip swords and armor are the two things we're going to want at a Knight. Is being able to equip real armor can be a game changer for some classes, and being able to equip a sword may mean we'll actually have weapons for certain classes, depending on what we get. Now, the fun thing is, I can just walk over to Igros. It's still red, but we can shop here. So I can go buy armor. And that's why I wasn't worried about the armor problem. And thanks to our shop level upgrades, we actually can buy a decent sword, or no less. Go ahead and grab you some gear as well. Her being a holy knight, she can actually wear armor ahead of being a knight proper. I may mess around with that, we'll see. This is also where you buy your bows. So I'm gonna go ahead and grab a longbow preemptively in case I get archer early. So I don't have to immediately turn around and come back here if we get one. Though if we get shop upgrades, I'll obviously be turning around and coming back here post-haste. Let's save the game and go do our second fight. I know, it's a half hour in and we've only done one battle. Get used to that. That's gonna be how this is gonna go. It's gonna be slow. This is just how it is, and the amount of load screens we have to go through as well is gonna slow this down. But I have a trick for that. Except it seems like it's not working, so I won't worry about it. I do have a speed up key, but it seems to not be working. It seems to keep unsetting itself every time I open a patch file to connect to Archipelago. So it's a whole thing. I was gonna use the speed up on those load screens because it works on those for some reason. And it didn't cause any issues. So I was gonna be using and abusing that. Let's see. No, we'll just send the boys. It's okay. Tia will catch up. Oh yeah, we also have a Subnautica player, which is an interesting one. I'm gonna keep getting reminded of what games are as I see stuff popping up for them. That's a lot of checkpoint traps hitting Terra, who is playing Shadow the Hedgehog, by the way. That's another one that Tarragonus is playing. Oh no, one of the thieves is a bird, otherwise known as most of the thieves are birds. See what I mean about the fights being randomized? This would ordinarily just be a bunch of human troops. I believe, like, a goblin? I forget if they have, like, a goblin or, like, a chocobo or something other than just human soldiers here. A rider. Shadow. I don't actually know what rider is. It feels like it would be like Sonic Riders or something, but I don't know. Most useful Algus will ever be. Killing one single enemy. Yeah, time mage and a bunch of birds is just really silly. Sometimes you'll get softball fights like this, and then other times you will get nightmare fields. Like, I've had early fights just turn into a sea of dragons in testing here. And as you might imagine, a bunch of squires and chemists fighting dragons doesn't end well. You can do it, but oh boy. You either have to heal a lot, or you go old school XCOM strategies of the meat grinder. You throw people to their death to make the job happen. I think the music's also been randomized, because I don't recall this being the fight theme for this area. That's usually the... It's usually a more upbeat track here. Unless, I keep forgetting whether it's always the same track for story fights or not. I may or may not have tuned out the music with how much of it I've had go while I've been testing this and doing everything. It's good music, but when you hear it long enough, it just kind of stops being a thing. One of the other things I really want to have show up job-wise is gonna be Monk, so I can get counter. Once I can get counter for my own soldiers, it's so over. But other than getting the ability to use items, the main reason we want Chemist is for Auto Potion, so people can heal themselves when they get hit. Auto Potion is so disgustingly good till you get other reaction commands and get a decent amount of health where you don't need to be defending yourselves by healing so much. Or, you know, getting a proper healer. Any of those would make the job happen. You technically get counter tackle with Squire, but bleh. I've yet to see that ever do anything of serious merit once things get to a health pool beyond, like, 40. But at least we're getting some fights I can get through quickly. Which is nice. Like, I was dealing with enemies with, like, 100 hit point pools even here, if that tells you anything about how my test seeds were going. We definitely got a softball by a mile in comparison here. Considering everything but one enemy is already dead. And I don't even have that many good soldiers yet. I just have myself as a knight with high power, and that's about it. Ta-da! Mission accomplished. He's gonna go on about the fact that the Marquis was taken because they did a bad job. And we gotta go rescue the Marquis now. Like, technically, we aren't supposed to go do this, but we're gonna go do it. Neat. Lost Impact Artificial Chaos for Shadow the Hedgehog, and Primordial Fury for Guardians for StarCraft 2. Neat. I know next to nothing about Shadow the Hedgehog other than it's kind of a janky 3D platformer, which is exactly how Sonic 3D is in general, so... Oh, interesting. I sent it twice to Terra because there was one of them in the story e-battle and then one was the monk unlock. It is a game that exists. I own it. It's over there. Or on my shelf. I played it a whole once and never again. I file it under It's a Good Meme. Because that's something it's good at. Being good at being a game? Eh. If you like that, then yeah. Otherwise, eh. Like, I won't judge anybody that says that they like that game, but I will also... I would just go, okay, sure. And be mildly confused. You still don't have enough points for Phoenix Down because you didn't even get to go to that fight, right? I forgot. Now, I'm going to open this menu again because I forgot to point it out when we opened it a second ago. But you probably saw that there was another option other than the story battle here, or in Mandalia. Once it loads eventually... Yeah, no, that's exactly what I mean. It's not bad, it's just not great. And it's certainly not my thing. Yeah, see, you have rare random battle. Again, I cannot do those until I have store level 8, but there are specific rare battles in all the random battle locations, basically, that we can trigger manually. Supposedly I have a button that can just trigger a random encounter whenever, but when I tried it before it didn't work, so I'm not going to worry about that. I can also just redo story battles as many times as I want, so we can achieve the same result anyway. Now, I'm trying to remember my order of operations here. I believe it's go through Swiggy to Dorder to Zeklaus next. And then we go to Thieves' Fort, then Lenalia, and go up. The thing I always get wrong is whether I go this way first or if I go to Thieves' Fort first in terms of what you're actually supposed to be doing order-wise. It doesn't much matter because it's randomized, but I try to go in that order because it seems like the logic for the rando still sends you vaguely in that direction. In terms of fights being easier. But you see what I mean about the load screens, though. That is going to be the biggest downside to this, is there's going to be a lot of load time. Which, there's already a decent amount of load time to a PS1 game to begin with, but it's a thing. We'll let Tia come to this one so she can get some practice time. Leave the one with the worst stats of the boys behind. She'll also have the advantage of having a better weapon than just a knife to work with. Oh, interesting batch we got here. A bunch of eyeballs. There's a couple more time mages and a mediator. I actually got mediator in my first test seed, and it kind of broke everything. Not that it like properly broke, but it gave me advantages because I could just convert whatever job I wanted as long as I could find it. You couldn't keep them as that job if you ever touched the change job button, and you couldn't give them new abilities, but you technically could have a job that you weren't supposed to that way. More importantly, it was a way to grab free gear, which is how it worked in the normal game to begin with. You could just recruit people and steal their gear if you needed to. Having nobody with any real movement abilities right now, though, is going to be pain. It's going to make fights take longer because we actually have to, you know, close the gap by walking like a bunch of plebs. Another thing the randomizer had a tendency to give me in my test seeds was Dancer. And Dancer can learn to fly for reasons. So it made every female soldier I had able to learn how to fly. His men become bards in this, and women become dancers. Something of the times. Shrug. Which, for the record, they are separate classes completely. So, when you unlock Dancer, you don't unlock Bard, and vice versa. And I do not remember what the job requirements for both of them were offhand. They're one of the ones that takes more jobs than most do. I think Mime's the other one that takes the most? I have a chart I can pull up if I get to that. I'm just not worried about it right now because we're going to be hitting a lot of notes very quickly. And I have done all the jobs in this game at one point, just to be clear. I do know what I'm doing. It's just been a while. This is not a situation of me playing something for the first time randomized like Crystal Project was, before anybody's worried about that. I actually beat this game properly for the first time last year? I want to say I finally had the patience to finish it. Something like that. Because I always would get to a certain point and just get distracted off to other games, so I would just never finish it. And there's also a couple story battles that would always give me trouble. But we'll talk more about that when we get there. Because we will get there. Possibly even today, depending on the speed we go through things at. Because one of the ones that would give me trouble was actually fairly early on. Just a bunch of eyeballs slapping people upside the head. Now, I've always enjoyed the style of the little sprite models they have running about in this, which is why I made that whole thing of trying to match this style as much as possible and make these little sprites for people. Not that many people took me up on that, but I still have my own at the very least there. This is another one that just has a style that's stuck in my brain forever. There's plenty of other games that look similar as it is, but there's just a right amount of detail they crammed into all of these that sticks in my head. So it became a very good practice piece for me to try to match that. Because, like, obviously the eyes aren't much of anything, because there's only so much room on these sprites to fit that. Because I think these aren't even 64 by 64, they're something really small. Like, if I went and looked, I could tell you exactly what size these are, because I have something I made that's exactly the same size. But it's been weeks since I did any of those, so I do not remember off the top of my head. Point being, when you only have like 5 or 6 pixels for an eye, you can only do so much with it. Oh yeah, for those that don't know, Chemist's whole thing is they can throw items. Nobody else can get distance with the item ability. Outside of, I believe you can learn an ability that lets you do that? Or am I thinking of the... I might be thinking of one of the hacks I had played that also added a few more abilities. I don't remember off the top of my head right now. Point being, this fight's over. Let's see what we got this time. Gotta go through my normal rewards, and then we'll see what our archipelago check is. We got 5 Color of Lumina for Latrio playing in Expedition 33. We have 2 Expedition 33 players, so they needed to differentiate between the 2 of them. That's Swiggy done. Next stopped order. Which we can shop and everything in here ahead of time. Though it's interesting. There is one other thing that's a check that I forgot to mention. And that is unlocking the shop in places. Because ordinarily you'd have to do a fight in a place to gain access to the shop there. Being able to shop everywhere is... I don't know if that's actually even intended. As far as even Ivalus Island goes. Grab sword as my first priority, so don't forget to grab it later. Weapon guard also wouldn't be a bad thing to grab, especially for people who aren't going to spend time as a knight. So we'll go ahead and grab that for you two. You have enough points for it as well, so go ahead and grab that too then. At least till they get other better reaction moves, Weapon Guard at least lets them block with their weapon to protect them a little bit. Gives them a little bit more longevity. Oh wait, no, throw items right there. So be able to throw items and expand range even if not a chemist. Useful thing to have early on, I would say, till you start getting people that are much better at healing magic. So, if you've got the gil for it, throw items still means you can save on magic quite a lot. And if you're, like, purposely going a low magic party because you have nobody with any good faith or anything, you could make it work that way as well. Since potions and such do scale up as you go potion, high potion, X potion, etc. But we are definitely going to be prioritizing getting them auto potion. Kind of banking on getting a JP boost to happen at some point, though. The kind of broken thing about those JP boosts, though, is it gives you those points for every job you have, which is a little silly. We want to do the slums fight because the Dorder Trade City fight is the next chapter. I'm gonna, like I said, I'm gonna try my best to do things in relative order until I reach a point where I'm so overconfident that I just start doing whatever. Like, if I start getting ninjas and things, I'm gonna start breaking logic pretty hard, or more than likely, and just going and punching above my weight class. Because I can do some fairly busted things that way, at that point. Oh no, he's arguing with an eyeball. All that can talk. I'm gonna let this happen because there's something funny that happens when scenes like this occur with randomized characters. And it's right there. Notice how he turns back into the knight sprite that he's supposed to be, but it tries to keep the color scheme from the floaty eye, and it gets real weird. I just find this really funny and interesting that this is a thing that happens. Like, that's one where it gets kind of disgusting to look at, but it's interesting that that's the way that ends up happening. Was adjusting something because I felt something weird. You're gonna see that war brought up a lot, by the way, in the little bits and pieces that pop up. As I said, I'm not really gonna be delving too much into story information. There's plenty of ways you can learn about the story of Final Fantasy Tactics if you're really interested in that. Suffice it to say, the previous war factors into a lot of things. Interesting that there's a couple princesses running around in this fight. That's actually kind of bad for me in a certain way, depending on what they decide to do and what they have access to at level 3. I think they default have that protection spell that's gonna be really annoying, though. The good news is they don't get a big health pool, so we should be able to just walk up and wallop them. Now, there is going to be a downside to me specifically not having auto potion, but I'm hoping to have a job point thing pop up by the time that becomes a concern. Oh yeah, Terra's also playing Pokemon Black and White. That's why you're seeing things like max potions and rocky helmets down there. As I said, I'm going to keep calling out additional games. Argo's playing Metroid Fusion. I almost put another Fusion Seed into this one, but I wanted to keep it simple because of the amount of things I thought I was going to be doing this month. It's looking like one of the things I expected to end up doing this month is getting pushed off to next month. I still don't know yet what's going on there. With mystery thing that I'm not gonna fully explain right now. It is funny seeing things like RPG ammo boost popping up. Oh, since there's traps popping up, those of you familiar with Archipelago are familiar with the fact that a lot of Archipelagos have some really neat traps. Unfortunately, neither of the games I'm playing today have traps. And it made me sad. There is one other Archipelago staple that Portrait of Ruin has that we'll talk about when we cycle over to that, but that is to be talked about when we get to that. These princesses are actually more durable than I expected them to be. Irritatingly enough. You have counter. Do I think you'll be okay? No, I think you're better off just healing yourself and just kind of standing there awkwardly and upsetting the Minotaur. Which that is one of my favorite things to do when I have people with counter and such, is just go stand in front of enemies and let them take care of themselves. Because there's the status don't act in this game, which means you can't actively take action. But I do believe counter still works under those circumstances, so I would just walk up to them and just go like, fine, I can't attack you, but I'll attack you if you attack. No, maybe I shouldn't have left her standing there. I forgot that they had wave around. Oh, bye, Delita. Real shame about that. Guest characters don't have the timer where they disappear, so I tend not to care about what happens to them at all. And since they don't become a constant in the randomizer, like they don't end up actually like leveling properly and everything and being a temporary part of your party, I have even less reason to care about what happens to them. People finding their Ocarina buttons. Is both Winter and Argo have set their Ocarina of Time games to have, I believe, basically every option. So that their buttons for the Ocarina itself are out there. It's a whole thing. You should go check out one of them if you want to see how all of that works. Really, you should just go see everybody that's popping up down there. I do not have a convenient link list because there's too many people playing to make it effective. It would be a mile-long list. But it's a thing that's happening. And almost everyone is streaming. And that's popping up. I believe specifically Terra isn't, and I don't know if Cassius is streaming or not. I did not see him mention whether he was going to or not. I know Wintergust is streaming specifically because he started up before I did. Letriel is streaming. Argo obviously is. He also started up early. Mori, just Mori the Gremlin, also is. A lot of people stream. A lot of people stream. One of these days I should actually set up a proper command for the council itself too. The link there, but you can find the link in the about page if you're interested in seeing just the general Dragon Council. Good bunch of people. Good bunch of people. Absolutely, you should go look at that. Yeah, deflected. And yes, you read that right. She had a 6% chance to hit me because of being blinded and the really, really good shield we had. There really was no chance on that one. Let's split you two up so you don't just get beat up by Wave Around anymore. Start getting your health back up a bit. It's gonna delay making any progress on killing that, but dying to him also wouldn't make headway. Of course, this is also the problem with me turning them into chemists, is their damage output is kind of sad. Because we don't have the particularly useful things for chemists to be using, things like guns. I also wasn't paying enough attention where I moved the second one and immediately did the opposite of what I was talking about doing. So, way to go, brain. You can definitely tell that I'm not fully here because of having to medicate that headache away. You know what? Go ahead and bring him back just so we have somebody else getting things done, hopefully. Oh yeah, there's also 2 people playing Oblivion Remastered. That's Dragon Dispatcher and Pandragon are both playing that. Dispatcher specifically is also playing Grim Dawn, which you saw me do before for Archipelago. And I believe Pandragon's only playing Oblivion. Just gonna keep catching everybody up on who's playing what as much as I can as I see it pop up. The ads are coming up though, so we are going to be separated off by that. I'm gonna go ahead and keep this fight going because these fights take a long time. And there's not that much that's gonna happen during this fight. This is early enough of a fight that it's not going to be exciting, particularly. There is some tension because of the fact that I made this mistake with my chemists here, which is leading to them just getting beat up down here. That's Weapon Guard coming into play, by the way. So, very glad that I bothered to grab that. And I'm so looking forward to this fight ending up not being worth it, by the way, that this is going to just be like a garbage check. But it's one of those things where you gotta do it because it's a check. Whether it ends up being a good check or not, don't know till you try. I'm so not glad I brought you back to life, bud. You're just walking around throwing potions, which is great. Except that's not what I needed you doing. You needed you down there stabbing people to expedite this process. I don't actually remember what short floof is. My brain wants to fill in a short hike, but I know it's not that. Keep bringing him back. Worst case, he just keeps dying. At least one of you is going to be gaining experience this way. Now, the handy thing if that eyeball turns into a crystal is crystals heal people's health and magic to full when they pick up the crystal, or they can get an ability from it. Since it's a monster, there's not going to be any abilities we can pick up, because it has to be existing job abilities. So that's just a guaranteed full heal for somebody. The downside is enemies can pick those crystals up too. So we gotta be quick about grabbing that if it ends up popping as a crystal. Actually, don't go there. Go ahead and throw a potion down to him instead. I keep hoping the timing will line up so I can revive the other chemist and heal him, but it just has not been lining up. I think since we're both sitting on his path down, he can't get... No, he could have gotten down there. He's just being stupid. Which is pretty par for the course. The The guest AI in this game is usually a little dumb. Welcome back from the ads, everybody. As you can see, very little has changed in this fight while you were away. One chemist is still reviving the other one desperately over and over again. Technically, it would be better if I actually was attacking every time, but the whole 8 damage we'd be getting on those turns is not that big a deal. Okay, good. It popped a chest. You're in reach, so go ahead and pop down and wallop her. Yep, there's the counter tackle, which is fine. Now, Algus, do something useful, please. Yep, now you're gonna... I know you're attacking. I figured she was gonna heal again and annoy me. Hey, you're actually healing somebody I care about this time. Let's go. Oh, right. Virtual's playing Ultra Kill, in case you can't tell from the big text saying Ultra Kill there. That's another one. There we go. Now it's just one enemy left. You don't have an angle to revive this time, do you? We'll know if it'll reach by it having... Oh, no, it reaches. I thought it was going to end up hitting the skull on the way. 1 hit point, huh? That's a bad roll. That's a real bad roll for that. Thankfully, he's more interested in getting the multi-hit, so we're actually going to get him to live for a turn. And finally. Oh no, Algus is dead. Oh, what a tragedy. Oh, I care oh so much. Like, as I mentioned before, I don't particularly care about my guest characters often anyway. Algus in particular, I am actually very happy to see die. And I'm gonna leave that as a if you know you know scenario, though you'll find out more about that later, one way or the other. But also just fuck that guy. Oh, interesting. There's like mountain access and such for Oblivion, so I guess their world isn't like fully open in Oblivion. Interesting. There are randomizers that I'm going to be learning about by proxy here, just observing the things popping. Get you away from him. You don't have an angle to attack, so just push his health up more. I'm trying to avoid there being too good a position for him to attack multiple people. Like, he's gonna have a shot here, but that's okay. That keeps him next to me, which is what I want. I want him to stay there so I can kill him. So she can kill him too. That works. That also is actually better because she missed a fight, so her getting the kill experience is better. Now, what are we gonna get? 2000 Gil, an Iron Sword, an Ether. I can't buy Ethers, so those are actually good to get. Sand Bottle for Time Spinner, otherwise known as useless garbage. Yay! His sand bottles just restore your sands of time in that game, which just let you stop time slightly longer. Not really worth it. The experience we got out of that fight is much more worthwhile than what we got there. It may be worth grabbing a break move if I'm going to be staying a night for a long time, because then again, we already have night 4. No, I don't think it's worth grabbing any of those moves right now. Speed Break is good. Okay, you have Auto Potion, you don't need to be a chemist anymore. Your job there is done. Join me, Ralph. Be a knight as well now. We need to buy you armor, but don't worry about that part. Now, jobs do have inherent move amounts and such as well, and you'll notice, 3 move. Not great. He's not going very far very fast. But he's gonna hit like a house when he gets there. Did you get enough experience? You certainly did. Very good. Grab you move find item as well while we're in there, because we can. So Leopold's also going to be losing the benefit of the black outfit. Which means, Tia, you're going to inherit the black outfit. She is not necessarily more valuable than Galar, but she is a higher level. So I'm going to prioritize her over him. She also obviously gets the female-specific jobs. So I do need to keep somebody that's decent in case we get those female-specific jobs more than other ones. Of which I think Dancer is literally the only one, but it's still something to keep in mind. So, time to take a quick quote-unquote walk back to Igros, so that we can get some night equipment. We've actually been getting really lucky in terms of money. So buying gear is actually, like, the least problematic thing we have. Ordinarily, I was getting a lot of job point junk items sent to me instead of a lot of money junk items. So I was used to struggling for money and then having all the job points in the world. This is an interesting reversal of that here. Now, you might be wondering, why are you buying so many high potions now? Well, part 2 of that idea is I'm going to sell out of my regular potions and sell this X potion. Well, I didn't have to sell the X potion, but I'm doing this for consistency's sake. If the only potion I have is high potions, anyone that uses auto potion will just use a high potion. So they'll heal for 70 most of the time when they get hit, making them incredibly durable as long as they don't get one-shot. And as knights, they're not likely to get one-shot anytime fast. So that gives us quite the boon in terms of making progress. So we did Dorter. We're not going to Orbone right now. Though there is a easier fight we can do there, potentially, but again, trying to stay in relative order right now. There's something else that's not normally in the monastery that's in the monastery as well, that I'll discuss soon, TM. URC Close Desert Story Battle. I used to go to this desert a lot as a means of training my people. Not the desert fight we have here, but the random desert battles. Oh hey, bonus skill, lots of money just got sent to me, so we have stupid money. You go ahead and stand behind me. This is one of those situations where we're split up. That happens a fair amount, by the by. This should be an easy enough fight. So, Leopold, you'll sit this one out. We might roll much worse enemies than I usually have in here, but you'll see why this isn't going to be too bad here in the Cellar of the Sand Mouse in a moment. Oh, this is even less bad than I thought it was going to be. If they're just a bunch of princesses for the most part. The Mind Flare's a little concerning, and the Heaven Knight is a concern. Oh, Mind Flares. Yeah, the bit here is you'll notice there's 2 choke points here. The 2 doors out of their little fort. So you can kind of just pen them in there and keep them in their little box. And since they keep rolling things that are not too bad, as far as as range goes, I could pretty safely just contain them in there and do whatever the hell I want. Since I have 2 knights, and 2 guests that I don't care about, that could just sacrificial lamb into there if I need them to. So, turn order-wise, it looks like they're gonna get the breakout before I could do that, but that's fine, because of the simple fact being that they're not threats. So I'm not really concerned in the slightest here. On the note of female-specific things in this game, by the way, there's a bunch of perfumes that I never knew existed until playing this in Archipelago, because I got handed a couple of them during one of the test seeds. And I was like, huh, these are interesting. Because they do a bunch of passive effects, which are neat, and they're also worth, like, shed loads of money. They're sending a lot of nasty this way. Both Pisco demons going that way is not ideal. Now, the neat thing with these Heaven Knights is their attacks are random. They will attack a slightly random amount of times, and they'll hit any of the tiles in this case, cross shape that they're aiming at there. Oh no, it looks like that might be a larger area one. So that was hitting more than a cross shape. Yeah, they're really interesting. They do also kind of suck unless you get lucky. Because you'll notice it only hit like twice and then just kind of pissed off into nowhere. Now, the advantage to it, though, is when they do hit, they hit hard. Unfortunately, my plan to be cheeky and just have my chemist sit there behind the knight and heal the knight all the time to get free levels did not work out. Just like those bots and their stupid idea of trying to sell us viewers does not work out. Now, one disadvantage is my chemists don't have high potion, which I forgot that I did not train them for that, so they can't actually heal anyway. All they can do is revive. Circus Arena key for Portrait of Ruin. Okay. Down goes one Pisco Demon. Now, the neat thing about killing an enemy in that doorway is since they cannot stand on corpses, and neither can we, they can't stand in that doorway now. So they're actually locked out of being able to get into melee range if I block that door. At least on that side. They'll just be trapped in their fort. Doesn't matter because 90% of them went out this way, but it'd be a thought. You only have 32 hit points, so how about you go just start hitting her? Because if we can get rid of the Heaven Knight, I'm a lot less concerned. The princesses sting when they keep whacking you with sticks, but they're nowhere near as dangerous. Now, arguably, I should have had her switch over to the other side to help that bunch, but it'll be fine. Now, the mistake this Heaven Knight made was walking within night range. Goodbye. So I don't know if these princesses know revive of any kind. So I don't think we have to worry about them bringing anybody back. Be a problem here. They are going to beat him to death, though, which is kind of annoying. Can't get at the demon. Set her up to be taken out. I didn't block the doorway because I actually want the demon to come out in this situation. That princess is going down. I was waiting for him to get counter-tackled and just die a fool's death. It's been very funny to me. That actually kind of works out in our favor with her walking out over there a bit. Now we block you from being able to run inside, because that would irritate me greatly. You know Phoenix Down? You do, okay. And here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna have you bully the princess first, and then revive our companion. Oh, you know charge! Huh. Isn't that adorable? That you think charging your little staff is going to hurt. Spoilers, it will actually hurt more, but it shouldn't be enough to be a problem. This Pisco Demon is dead. Oh yeah, Terra is also playing Ape Escape 3. Y'all saw me play Ape Escape 1 in Archipelago before, so you know more or less how Ape Escape works in this situation. 3 is a little bit different, though, from what I recall from when we had played it before. You could kill here, or revive. I don't trust the timer. Oh, that's not the right one anyway. I don't know if you can actually reach to revive from up there. Okay, good. I'm glad I looked before I revived, otherwise I would have brought an enemy back and been very annoyed. She is probably going to just clobber him, but it buys him extra turns before he dies completely. Oh, right. Double Dash is also in the pool. Ammo's playing that. So many interesting things in this batch. Like, people went real weird this time, and I'm so happy for it. Like, I didn't know what anybody else was picking much when I picked Final Fantasy Tactics and Portrait of Ruin. So I didn't know people were already going weird on their own. So I just find it very funny that we just happened to all pick the weird choices this time. No, you wouldn't be able to kill. Of course, now that I've walked you there, this is awkward. Because now I think I've blocked the knight from doing anything. You may be wondering, well, why don't you just undo that move? You can't. That's not how that works. Which I could have swore you could undo moves in this game, but apparently you cannot. Oh, you can still reach up there. Perfect. Bonk. Oof. Monsters aren't as worth grabbing as treasure, in my opinion, because enemy units that give treasure tend to give pretty good treasure because they'll give gear that they're wearing. Monsters tend to just give consumable items as treasure, and that's just not really that worth it. Fight's over, though. So we'll get this checked. Whole goal here was to take out the guards quickly, according to plot, so that we don't get caught following up on the people that took the marquee. We found a relic for our dispatcher in Grim Dawn, and we found the Westopolis alien for Terra in Shadow the Hedgehog, which there's multiple of those aliens I've seen pop up, so I don't know how useful that is. But it's a thing. And it's still a check we've gotten. Let's see, you're up to 600 now. Go ahead and grab Equip Armor. I just don't have anything to jump to is the problem. I have what I wanted, I just have nothing to jump to with it. So I don't really care about the idea of going back to Chemist right now. Or anything. You're working up to equip sword. Okay, you have enough for auto potions, so you don't need to be in Chemist Hell anymore. Grab High Potion, though, so you can at least heal people when you change jobs. Do I really want to just turn everybody into knights, though? Actually, no. No, there's a reason to have higher squire levels on some people. And that is, if you have high squire levels, you can unlock a couple of jobs that way. I believe it's like 8 squire levels for one of the special jobs. Actually, isn't it 8 squire levels for Mime? Because I believe it's like 8 of like everything for Mime. Something ridiculous like that. We were just given an item, but I need to close the menu and reopen it, I think, to get credited the item. Where's the ribbon down here? No, I was right. I needed to close and reopen the menu. Ribbon that prevents abnormal status, just like in any other Final Fantasy. It gives you a whole 10 hit points, so it's not great headgear, but it stops literally all of the bad things. So I'm gonna go ahead and put that on her anyway, because she has all the health from the black costume already anyway. So now she can't be statused, which is gonna be pretty handy. Especially Death Sentence. We have so much good stuff for Portrait of Ruin as well. Grab move +1 for me so I can actually go places. We're almost able to get auto potion. Equip change is something I've yet to see have a reason to exist, by the way. Like, you can get it for free, but it does take up your passive slot down there. And literally what it does is it does what it says on the tin. It lets you change your equipment in battle. I have to assume there's a world where that's useful. I've just yet to run into a reason for that to be that big a deal. Let's head on back this way. Go ahead and save the game again. I'm going to be saving a lot just to save on time if we end up going into a fight that's just not doable. The odds of us having a completely undoable fight anytime soon are low, but never zero. I believe it was my Swiggy Woods fight was awful because it was a bunch of high tier units. Even though they were low level, they like way outclassed what I had. So it was just struggle bus all the way in one of the test seeds. So I'm very careful. The good news is this is a fight where I can bring my whole team, so they all get a chance to actually get field time. How that works, for those who don't know, is if you have guest characters, which you won't be told that, but you'll see in your unit count that you'll more than likely have guest characters, you will be missing one of your numbers. Bunch of monks, squires, and a summoner. Okay, that's not terrible. Okay, after the whole plan with the Marquis fell apart, this whole bunch is having trouble. Oh, they're level 8. We're not that underleveled for this, so we should still be fine, especially since we've got a solid line of knights, and they've mostly got physical attack. Oh, they've got geomancy, though, so that's interesting. Geomancy in this game is determined by the tile the caster is standing on. So since she was on some grassy tile, she got Hell Ivy. They could have gotten, I think it's Carved Model it is for stone, by standing up on the wall there that Mo just jumped over. Geomancy's really neat. It's not always the most effective, but it's really interesting. Kind of surprised that these monks don't have counter. I was expecting to be in counter hell here. But they are not the highest level, so I guess they just didn't have the points to get that in addition to what they gave them. Yeah, I did re-equip you with item. Okay, very good. That summoner is gonna be the scary thing. His summon magic is kind of busted in this game. Oh, and she got a really fast cast with it. This is going to hurt. His summons have really big areas of effect and tend to do a lot of damage. Our whole party's in range of that, I think. It also doesn't do friendly fire, which is interesting. Yep, that hurt a lot. Oh, and I didn't get any auto potion procs either. That's a yikes. That's a big yikes. No auto potion on that either? Oh, fuck you, game. Ordinarily, auto potion would have popped on one of the two, but apparently no such luck. So that's real bad news. Because that's all of that Knight Strength immediately cut down. Because they lost more than half their health bar from the Titan. The good news is we actually have an easy out on this fight. And it's just defeating Maluda here. And especially with Ralph critting, we're out of this fight already, basically. Let's just take her down and get out of here before bad things happen. Punk. Any of those defeat-specific target fights can end up being very easy because the enemy AI does not prioritize protecting them most of the time. So you can actually just have a situation like this where you don't even fight their team, you just wall up the leader and win. It's very silly. Now, this does deprive us of the experience of defeating the rest of them, and I usually prioritize chasing all of them down, but after getting walloped with a summon like that, it was a better call to just get us out of there. And that got Subnautica Farming and Scroll of Lich for Pendragon's Oblivion. Okay. Nothing big there either. I think the farming for Subnautica is helpful, but not like, oh my god, this was incredible. Yeah, they're both blue checks. Which, reminder for those who are unfamiliar, blue means it's just a nice thing to have for Archipelago. Item class normal. Purple is priority, red is traps, and there's also, I think, green, which is less of a concern than the blue ones. Oh yeah, yeah, purple I mentioned. Purple is priority, purple is really good stuff. I know I was aiming for auto potion, but I thought about it more, and I need access to another means of healing if I'm gonna keep having situations like that show up. Worst case, that just means I burn a turn healing myself. Why didn't you have item equipped, you silly man? Like, at the very least, this way you can revive people, Leopold. Just because you're the favored son does not mean you can slack off. Bad. Looks like individual stages for Ultra Kill were locked too, which is interesting. Anybody not looking at the feed down there probably is getting confused by what I'm talking about. It's just me responding to checks that are popping up in the Archipelago tracker. Speaking of, let me take a peek at the server and make sure that there's no... Oh, okay, nobody's screaming like, hey, I need this. Like, there are a couple people that are stuck already. There's definitely a couple people that are BK'd. Which BK is they just have nothing they can do. For those not up on the phrasing there. And even more money. You'll notice my money went up by 2,000 there. Little money is 2,000. I believe big money is like 20,000 or something ridiculous like that. So I don't think I'm ever going to run out of money, even if my shop level gets raised a bunch at this point. Steel Ball for Portrait of Ruin. I really should hop to Portrait of Ruin soon, I think. Just because of how much stuff we're getting for it, though there's not been too many huge things. The biggest thing we got for Portrait of Ruin was gotten before I even booted up for today, and it was Griffin Wing. We can high jump in Portrait before we even started. We also got Toad Morph, which will let me go into small spaces, so we can go through like most of the castle in Portrait freely right now. And that's why I'm thinking about going to that. Thing is, we do have a lot of checks we can still do here. Like, we can go to so many areas with what we have. So I'm kind of torn. But maybe when we hit the 2-hour mark, I'll flip, just so we have something else happen. The problem is, I am planning on going pretty long today, and I don't want to have to splice the VOD together. And I want to split it between games. So it puts me kind of in an awkward spot that way. Yeah, let's go ahead and just see what's in Thieves' Fort. I did just save. We're fine. Like, unless I want to just put it out as separate segments, even if they're from the same day. Because it would still technically be a part 2 at that point. I don't know, things to think about. Gale behind me. Leopold, you are the strongest, but you'll take a break for this one. Is by the very virtue of him being the strongest, he doesn't need to show up to every fight. People's bravery and such can raise and lower, depending on how things go as well. But it's kind of slow going. That's the other reason for training up other people. Oh, this is funny. Now, you'll notice it's Meluda again, but, man, she's aged a lot. She's become an old man, suddenly. And she's guarded by 2 Geomancers and a bunch of Chocobos. Now, it is another case of just defeat Meluda. So, I can just rush this fight and end it pretty quick. Yeah, my speed up key doesn't work. Okay. I wanted to double check while there was an animation playing so I could see if it was working. That means it got reset back to the other key, so I could just press the other one and it would work. I just don't want to reach further over. Because I am leaned back a little bit since these are both controller games. I'm just kind of in chill mode. Oh, that's gonna sting a little bit. Oh, no, it didn't do as much as I thought it would. I don't actually remember what the other part of Demon Fire is, either. I remember it... Like, almost every Geomancer ability does a status effect in addition to the damage it does. And I don't remember ever using Demon Fire. So I don't think it does much. Or it's just a matter of that terrain is rare. You do unlock your Geomancy moves the same way you unlock any other abilities in this game. But you have to unlock it and happen to stand on a tile that's valid for that attack. So Geomancy is just kind of tricky in general, even though it's neat. Now, the good news about these being Chocobos is they're not that durable. The downside is they all have counter, and they do have Choco Heal, which will let them heal each other. So if you pin one in a corner, it'll heal you and itself, because it can't and heal only friends. So you can actually just have like an infinite loop going there. It's brutal, but it works. Now, unfortunately, there's not a lot you can do here. Because he lost a whole 10 hit points, and I don't... Well, you know what? Fuck it, why not? I have so much money. It's not like I need to hold back on the high potions. In this way, she gets its experience. Interesting that our trading card sim player is the first one I see asking for hints. I wonder if there's a discussion going on right now of, hey, I need this, which is attached to your plushie then. So I don't actually know how the checks in card shop work, other than I know the store levels I think were a check, and then a couple other things are checks. Like, notice how play A3 format standard, play 4 format standard, and such like that are going out. Once again, just watching my companions get obliterated. I didn't even realize that was an option, unlimited power bombs for Metroid Prime. That must be something that got added after I stopped messing with the Prime rando. But I don't think I've ever actually done Prime in Archipelago. I've only done the other rando for it, now that I think about it. Unlimited power bombs is a really nice convenience feature, all things considered. Considering there's a lot of random places where power bombs are needed. Thanks for the heal, hee. I killed the guy you were healing and stole the healing. Neener, neener. Not that I needed the healing at all, but it's just fun to steal all their healing. Oh, Cassie's died. Now you'll notice Deathlink actually popped up for us. That's because, well, I'll reveal it now because I was going to reveal it when we went to Portrait of Ruin. I have Deathlink on for Portrait of Ruin. So anytime anybody else dies, we will die in Portrait of Ruin as well. That's why we have the Deathlink message actually popping up. So at some point, I'm gonna get screwed by that. It's gonna be funny. I kind of wish Deathlink was on for this, even though I have no idea how that would actually work. Because it would be like, what happens? Do you just lose the battle when Deathlink triggers? If so, that would be disgusting. No, I don't even want to heal him for the experience. No, fuck that guy. Besides, he's getting healed for free anyway. Plunk. Oh, Cassie's died again. It is neat that there's actually a bunch of unique Deathlink messages there. That's fun. This is actually the first time I think I've actually run with Deathlink active. So I didn't even know it would send a bunch of those messages out when you have something running Deathlink in the pool. So I think I am specifically looking at the tracker for Portrait as well. I forget which of the two trackers I picked. I just kind of grabbed whichever one popped up in OBS first. Of course you got lucky on the 75% chance to hit you. whack the old man while he's got his hands up. Oh yeah, Draco's also playing Dark Souls Remastered. So you'll see a lot of things relating to that popping up. Looks like he's hitting a bunch of checks all at once as well, which is nice. Look at you getting lucky with all those guard reactions. God damn. Oh, you got hurt again. Well, let's fix that again, I guess. Hey, we got Mysterio. He's gonna stay in the box till the end of time. For two reasons, really. One, Mysterio's not somebody I used that much even when he was available normally. And two, we have no guns, so his whole shtick is not relevant. And honestly, as I mentioned before, I'm not really going to be prioritizing the guest characters too much anyway. I'd rather use my own. God damn you with all your guarding. You're going to lose anyway because I'm about to just wall up your boss here. I'm tired of chasing you. There we go, we're out of here. The back of your forces is broken. I forget if I was supposed to go here or the plateau first. I feel like it was here first, and I did it backwards. But it doesn't really matter. Just a high ether. It even less matters. Great. Love that for me. The good news is we can kind of pick up the pace because there's not as many things I need to pause to go into the menus for now. Because everybody's kind of set with what they're doing for a little bit yet. Well, actually, I tell a lie. There's one thing I want to check, and it's does Galere have enough for... Nope. Because Oh no, he didn't even grab High Potion. He's just being kind of shit. He doesn't even have Phoenix down. Grab High Potion so you can heal and get more job points that way, then. Because he's just doing a terrible job of being relevant at all. Up to Fovum. Save the game, and then off to battle we go. Just ignore the fact that I have 90,000 gil that I have no real use for. With some luck, we'll actually start getting some more shop levels and start being able to buy things that matter. But I don't see that happening anytime soon. It has been wet, stormy, and kind of crummy, by the way, today, so there's a chance the power may get knocked out at any random point. If that happens, we probably aren't coming back up, just like we didn't come back up after the crash the other day when the video drivers imploded. Okay, this was another reasonable softball. And Ygraf, the Chocobo, is very upset about Maluda dying. With his ordinary sprite, he would have been the guy we saw talking to the fencer in Dorter. But he is now a chicken. Which honestly will make this so much easier, because ordinarily his attacks are devastating early on. So to have him be just a Chocobo, delightful. We'll be out of this fight before you even know it, because I'm just gonna have everybody pile on and kill him. Like, literally turn one, bang, bang, fight's over. I know that means that we don't get anything for Galar out of this, but it's fine. He talks about a bunch of conspiracy stuff involving our character's brothers. It's a whole thing. It'll get detailed out as we go, bit by bit here and there. And then he teleports away. Get used to people teleporting for reasons in this game, by the way. There's a lot of just convenient teleporting away people we don't like are going to be doing. We found grass for Luigi's mansion. Hooray! So, to be fair, with how easy that fight was, I can't complain too much. Now we're gonna have one of the fights that's gonna have a big set of checks for us. Provided it doesn't end up being bad. This fight could go really well or really badly. This is one I'm actually gonna bring all the high levels to. I'm not gonna bring the training chemist to it. Because this is an important one to win. It also provides a bit of background into something I was talking about earlier. Go ahead and have Tia appear here with me, and then the knights will go this way. Be together. Because we are fairly separated with this one, so I want the two that are by themselves to be able to hold their own well. So the whole reason we came out this way is because that young lady up there is Delita's sister, who was taken by the remnants of the people we've been dealing with. This place is loaded to blow. The demon right there is actually meant to be Algus, who is doing his job, but he's being kind of a dick about it. So that's why I don't like him. Now, he gets pushed into taking the shot here, but he just shoots the girl in the chest, and, you know, removes his bargaining chip, which is a reasonable thought in some ways, but he botches the job about killing the guy as well, so the whole thing's just a mess. Also, note how our character's twitching out there. That's the first time I've seen that happen, and that's magical right there. The fact that they have a pile of dragoons with them is also kind of terrifying. Those are normally, like, knights and such. Oh, okay. I was like, did Cassius finish already? Because there was just a big wall of Cassius there for a moment. And yeah, Wygraf's been sighted somewhere else, so Zalbag's gonna go deal with that. That's a higher priority for him than this whole situation. Ego's crawling off into the fort, and now we end up fighting Algus because he wants to be a dick about this whole situation. Because he's got a whole commoners must die mindset going on. He's just kind of a shitter, and I hate him. Oh, that's right, they're called Lancers here, but they're Dragoons. Yeah, all we have to do is kill Algus. The whole thing here that bugs me a little bit is the simple fact of this fight happens just because he wants to be a dick at the face of it. There's technically more to it than that, but at face value, it's just, oh, you want to go save your sister? No, fuck you. That's just a dick move. Now, admittedly, this is a volatile situation considering we're all fighting right next to a fort that could blow up at any moment, since the guy who was threatening to blow the fort up crawled into the building that's presumably full of explosives. But, you know. Too busy fighting amongst ourselves to worry about that right now. Okay, good. If he got petrified, I was about to be really upset. Oh, something to note, by the way, from what I recall, if Ramza, the main character, gets petrified, it's immediate game over. Just bear that in mind. Yeah, I'm gonna try to rush us out of this fight, considering the situation. Thankfully, and I presume this is something the randomizer's done, since we don't have access to spears, the enemy lancers also don't have spears. Because I believe they did that as a means of keeping you from just stealing things that you need, that you otherwise would not have access to. So it's rather convenient in that regard. But they're still dangerous if they decide to jump or do anything silly like that, so I'm gonna try to rush us out of here so bad things can't happen. Similar case of avoiding bad things happening, we're gonna kill that eyeball before he has a chance to try to petrify anybody again. Because God forbid he succeed in doing that. Never leave your back to an enemy either. Okay, one more good hit and Squid Algus will be dead. Him literally being a monster also is kind of fitting to his character. Don't heal that. That just means I have to hit him more to kill him. All you've done is prolong his pain. Because trust me, I ain't gonna stop hitting him. He's the target, so I'm not gonna stop hitting him until he stops moving. Yeah, deflected. One more hit and it's over. Bonk. There we go. But of course he's not dead. Or is he? The world may never know. We have won the battle. And we got a lot of things. You may be wondering, why did we get so many things? That's because this is a chapter transition fight. So not only do we get the reward for the fight itself, we get the reward for the main character going to his next job, and then we get, I think it's 3 character recruitment prompts here. Because you ordinarily get multiple characters as soon as you go into chapter 2. So you get all the recruit prompts here. We got nothing of merit other than a Triforce piece, it looked like there. Though Havel's Helm for Draco in Dark Souls 1 might not be bad. Yeah, see Zeekton shop unlock, recruit Red, recruit Alicia, recruit Lavian, chapter 2 Ram's Esquire job unlock, and then the story battle. Literally a worthless batch of checks just about, but it was something. He just hinted for that a minute ago, but I guess he either did not get the answer or he is just trying again. He may not have had enough points before and thinks he has enough points now. I don't know. I don't know what's going on with the repeated hinting. Another key for Portrait of Ruin. Since so many of those keys have popped up, and I'm thinking about it more, and I'm probably not gonna hop till at least 3 hours in now, because of how much we're able to get done here. Those keys are boss keys. Those allow me to go through various boss doors. Ordinarily, you wouldn't have to worry about those keys. That is a Archipelago specific thing. I'll end up covering it again when we get to that. But I'll just explain it now since it's popping up so much. But once those ads pop up, I'm gonna get up for a moment. As is tradition. So the next place we would end up going would be... We pop up over here as a result of the events that happen in the chapter transition, so we'll just run over here. I think I literally saved right a second ago, but I'll save again anyway. And you'll get to see something interesting, potentially, if this menu's laid out the way I think it is. Because I didn't actually ever have access to Orbone in any of the test games I did. So I don't know how this menu's actually going to look. I think I know, but I don't know for sure. Yeah, there's a lot that happens here. See the Muron, Death City, Lost Sacred Precincts, and Graveyard of Airships 1 fights that are here? These are ordinarily part of the end game. They got moved here because of the settings I have. But the ads are kicking in, so I'm gonna go ahead and get up. We'll be back in a moment. It actually looks like I don't have the fight I was looking for here at all either. Well, we'll talk more on that in a moment. Back in a sec. Welcome back from the ads, everybody. You didn't miss much of anything, aside from us apparently receiving some more stuff from the other players, like Dark Gate for Portrait of Ruin and Volcano. Those are fun. Let's see. Did anything else happen? No, we saw the Forgotten Key. Okay. So yeah, there's ordinarily a very simple fight here that introduces you to all of your stuff, but I guess we don't need to worry about that fight. Actually, wait, does that happen? Because that's your tutorial fight, so I guess... Yeah, that would actually happen before gameplay properly starts, wouldn't it? The way that fits time-wise is weird. So we're not gonna do that, then. We just go here and do this fight immediately. Because this is the first proper fight of Chapter 2. The actual Dorter Trade City fight. The second I unpause Portrait of Ruin, there's gonna be a lot of dying happening. You only can have 4 for this fight. It'll just be you 4 again. Because we've got extra companions with us for this one, too. Plug my phone in while I'm waiting for these menus to go by. Yeah, as you can see, that's meant to be a thief sprite, but it's a Delita sprite for some reason. Because of the randomizer. Get used to people commenting on heresy and all of that as well. There's a whole thing gonna be involved with that. More on that soon. Oh, we got Whip Skill 2. Move for Portrait of Ruin as well. We are gonna have so many things for that game when we get to it. Ridiculous. So yeah, the princess who you saw the sprite of all the time has been kidnapped from the monastery, and we're chasing after that whole situation with Agris and Gafgarian here. At this point, we're a mercenary working with Gafgarian that happened to be contracted into this situation, is the short version of our current situation. Oh, that's funny. That's funny right there. The sprites we've got up there. So that Arknight there might look familiar. That's because we have the early and the late sprite of the same character standing there. And I'm not going to elaborate on that any further. That's the risk of a randomizer right there, is built-in spoilers occurring. You'll notice sometimes the enemy turns take a while as well. That's because the enemies are having to think about what they're doing a bit, because I think there's some issues with the decision making. Oh my god, Cassius. He's dead again. He's having a real rough go of it. With whatever areas he's trying to go to in Link Between Worlds. He's probably trying to do something early. Maybe because he doesn't have much choice, if I were to hazard a guess. Getting spinning art for Portrait of Ruin opens up a quest to be done easier. It would have been really funny if none of them got hasted out of that. But I guess that's too much to ask for, eh? Oh, that's gonna be annoying. 3 out of 4 of our best attackers here are now unable to move. We can still attack, so it's good that one of them walked into my attack range. It's kind of funny in a way how they just put the same head on different bodies. And you never really fully realize that until you see the sprites side by side like that. Yeah, you can't do shit, because you can't reach anybody to use an item, you can't attack. Now we're gonna get set on fire. Which, thankfully, with the health bars we have now, that's more of a minor inconvenience than anything. You, with your haste, really got another turn before I got a turn. So you're just gonna run off. Of course you are. Well, this is annoying. Hope you like me passing turns. Because there's gonna be a bit of that, I think. Bizla don't move. Thankfully, we had a different sucker walk into my range, so at least I get to hit something. I get to lash out at something. That's the one problem using things like the bag items and such, is they do have variance to their damage, and I swear I should just give up on using weapons that have variation. Is the axes and the maces and such in this also have wild variation to them, and they never work out for me. They always do fuck all damage, and it's so upsetting. Staring at what Draco's doing, trying to remember what GH is in Dark Souls 1. I'm blanking on what that means. Yep, they've got charge. Okay. Now, these Arc Knights are going to be an issue. Because not only are they just tough to hurt in general, they also, as you saw there, block a decent amount. Because they're probably wearing good plate armor and have shields and everything. Which is going to be annoying. In fact, let's take a look. Yeah, they've got robes, but they've got barboot helmets and round shields, so they've got some decent protection. So I assume you're both... Yeah, you're both equipped the same way. That one's got a mantle, which raises their evasion, though, which is annoying. You go ahead and finish that time mage off. Or you will miss a 90% chance. Okay. Gonna be one of those days. Like it. The thing that makes it not get super annoying that things like that happen is the fact that it happens to the enemies too. So it's not as bad as, to use the XCOM example again, XCOM, where it feels like it happens a lot less for the enemy because they do funny numbers. Let's focus this one down if we can. Just one at a time, just kill them all off. They're gonna haste the whole bunch again. Due to the way the terrain's a little funky in this game, it would not have hit the full plus shape there. That's why I had the other guy move. Because we wouldn't have gained anything from it, so it wouldn't have mattered. Yep, you go ahead and keep healing that time mage rather than doing damage to me. This is fine. Yep, that's also what I anticipated, is the time mage immediately getting walloped back right to where it was. Now that Gafgarian's shown up, I'm going to mention the fact that one of the random fights I had ended up being literally an entire forest full of Gafgarian clones. It was awful to deal with, because they all obviously had his abilities, so they had Night Sword and everything, and they would just keep life-stealing constantly and just being obnoxious. I need to revive my other guy there, but we also need to do something about you. Because I'm gonna be honest, I kind of forgot there was a second time mage. Else I would not have started focusing on either of the Arc Knights yet. Because the time mages are gonna die way easier. And the more enemies we remove from the field, the better our control of the situation is gonna get. Please hit him with stop. Damn it. Because that's the side effect of Stasis Sword, is it can make people have full stop, which means they can't move, they can't act, they can't do shit. And it's helpful. That guy dying again, less helpful. We'll deal with that in a minute. Yep, you're gonna keep healing that, which is fine. I always found it really interesting that the enemies can gain levels and such mid-fight. You're really hasting at a time like this, huh? Okay. Oh hey, there's that stop effect I was talking about. Hope you weren't wanting this fight to go fast, because it certainly ain't gonna. This is the first one, though, I'll say, that has been genuinely a problem. The rest of them have been a little annoying, but this one's genuinely actually being a problem. Cassies blew themselves up. Okay. You and your instant charge plus ones. Charge is the archer's whole thing. And it takes exponentially longer the higher the charge is, as you might imagine. It can be very potent, but if your target moves before you activate the attack, it just goes to nothing. You'll just hit nothingness. Seeing a revive item pop up right after the Cassies blew themselves up message is honestly really funny. Agrius, I just revived him, and you chose to friendly fire him to death. This is why the friendly AI is not so friendly. They're really stupid sometimes. Like, I get that the AI probably knew that it was gonna get the stop to happen, because I swear the AI in games like this cheats and knows that an effect's gonna happen when they do a move. So it calculated that the advantage there was worth the sacrifice. But it's still really annoying bringing somebody back, just have them get killed by your own teammate. Oh, sure, just go beat up the guy who's frozen in time. Why not? There's Auto Potion coming into play again. This is why things like Auto Potion are useful, is it just is completely just skipping the need for healing. Is like, oh, I got hit. Whoop, heal myself. Hey, progressive shop level for us. Let's go. I can now get better gear. Yep, you should be able to just kill him. Nope, you blocked. Yeah, damn it. Go and move away from there so you hopefully get to live. Yeah, because they're gonna just go kill him again. Kinda figured. Of course, I couldn't have gotten the 18% block. No. Oh, I can't complain too loud because I've had like a 5% block happen in my favor before. Doesn't mean I wouldn't want more of them to happen. I'm allowed to want things. Even if they're not reasonable, I'm allowed to want things. You know, could I just have him live through a turn, like, as a treat? Of course you hit. Why wouldn't you? And now he gets unstopped. Oh, I thought he was gonna spitefully run up and just kill the wounded guy. This game would have very likely been want to do that. I'll just go ahead and give you 70 hit points so you actually last a little bit there. There you go. Do me a favor and kill this man. End him. Or not. Because apparently every attack you're doing with that bag in this fight is rolling 12. Okay, sure. Irritating. Very, very irritating. I should've just revived the guy who's just gonna die again. Cause it won't fucking matter anyway. And off he goes, running away again. You'll note that our knight has not triggered Auto Potion fucking once. On the note of irritating. And you don't have high potions, so you can't even heal yourself. And it shouldn't be a matter of he doesn't know high potion, because I definitely had people who didn't know high potion using them in testing. Don't go there, actually. There was also a debate as to whether I should just revive the downed guy, but I think he'll be okay for long enough. Based on the damage going to be coming out. So I think it's going to be better just to end this fight. Rather than worrying about getting a res. Because we should be able to just finish this one off. Yep. Because even the lowest roll she's had would have killed there. No time to waste. Gotta go chase the princess. Increased card luck for our Dragon Alchemist, who is the one playing Card Shop Sim. Which I believe just means they get rarer cards out of their packs to then sell. Get chain vests now, bronze shields. Red hood, which is technically an upgrade for you. Yeah, this shop upgrade's not that big for us, particularly, I don't think. I think it gave us the ability to buy battle boots, which is not too bad. That's one more movement for whoever I buy them for. And Up the amount of high potions I've got again. It's gonna be nicer when I walk over to Igros and go buy the knight stuff from here. Because we should have better swords and such available now. Yeah, mithril swords and better chainmail. Better knives. Though the Mage Masher is not actually technically any stronger than the Blind Knife, but it does silence instead of blind. So you can argue back and forth whether that's worth it. We can also start buying battle axes, which, as I mentioned before, are not that good for me. They're supposedly stronger with their attack power being 9, but their attack damage actual results are variable and tends to be bad. Anyway, we also have iron helmets now. Actually, no, I think we had those already. Because otherwise, we would have bought those just now. Let's see, you don't have boots. You some boots. Get you some boots. And get you some boots. That way, everybody's got some more movement range. That will make a big difference in speeding fights up, because people will be able to reach more. Now, from the Dorter fight, we go to Aragway Woods. We just saved, I think, right? Yeah, but we'll save here just so I don't have to walk back across. And since we seem to not be getting any jobs or anything, I probably will swap games when we hit the 3-hour mark, like I was talking about before. Just because the checks are going to be kind of slow at the moment, because I don't have other jobs to unlock with the jobs that I have. So it'll all be just fight unlocks. Leopold. 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 Everybody's just gonna get in a line. Everybody's melee attackers right now, so my usual square formation's not that worthwhile here. I usually have 2 support units and then the 2 strong melee units in a square, but I have no support units really, unless I want to sit there and use chemists. This is not horrendous. This is the fight that was nothing but Gafgarian clones. Though seeing his portrait sitting there going gob 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 was very funny. This is meant to be just a bunch of goblins of varying flavors beating up a chocobo. Now, you can actually choose to want to protect the chocobo. The results end up being the same at the end of the day either way. The difference being if the chocobo dies, you lose if you choose the is he strong in a fight option. So I very rarely choose that option because it typically ends in irritation. Same as the fight back on Mandalia Plains, where you either choose Destroy the Death Core or Save Algus. Your end results end up being the same either way. So best to choose the option that doesn't lead to you losing the fight when the AI does something fucking stupid. Like, there's a time for being a hero, and there's a time for using even half of your brain, in my opinion. Now, don't get me wrong, you've seen me do plenty of foolishly honorable things, so you'll know I'm more than capable of that, but it depends on whether there's any actual worth to doing that. In addition to just doing the fair and honorable thing. And how much of a just absolute self-detriment it is as well. Oh no, the tentacles. Ow. I am mildly inconvenienced. There should be a lot of checks we're going to be able to trigger in Portrait. in between the deaths that happened from the death link. And I may as well talk about this while we've not got a lot going on. The reason I turned Deathlink on for Portrait is because I very rarely die in that game. So I wanted something that'll make it a little more difficult and a little more interesting. Because outside of a handful of particular fights, Portrait of Ruin is, in my opinion, one of the easier ones out of the set. Though the whole set of DS Castlevanias really are not very difficult for the most part. Like, the Dracula fights in each of those are pretty rough, and there's a couple specific fights in each of them that can be kind of tricky. And like one area per game that can be a bit tricky. But that's about the extent of it. Which, based on the amount of times I got one of the worst areas very early in testing, you will see one of my least favorite areas, like, immediately, probably, for Portrait. Yeah, remember, that guy's alive down there. So just put him down. Boom, boom, boom. There's 3 more to go. See, this is exactly the kind of situation that would be the problem if I had to guaranteed keep Boko alive. Is one of them pinning him in a corner because he's stupid and goes and corners himself. The good news is he's able to heal himself, so he'd be able to keep this under control just fine anyway. But one bad attack getting immediately countered like that would have led to disaster. And that's why you don't trust the game to handle itself, because it will do something stupid. But because of the way this is just a bunch of squid demons, this will not take much longer to get cleared through. So that's good. If we're mid-fight when the next ad batch comes up, I'll obviously finish that fight and then we'll switch. But I have every intention of switching in the next ad break, like I was talking about. Oh, good. That actually works, because that means nothing can reach Boko to hurt him. So if I was actually aiming to save him, we'd be guaranteed it pretty much at this point. Because you just head up that way. Oh, actually, miscalculation. It's fine. You go over here instead then. Wallop that one down to 6 hit points, and then it should die. And you strike it down. Punk. I don't know, you whack. Oh wow, you could have actually gotten up there too. Yeah, I'll just head on over there. Oh, now you use Choco Cure, you dumb bastard. If you had attacked it while it was stopped... Another case of what I was talking about with the friendly AI being a little stupid sometimes. The fight would literally have ended if he had attacked it, I think. I mean, he has a bird brain, I guess, so I can't expect too much, but god damn it. Well, I guess it works, because it means more experience for us. This should also be an extra check because it'll be the fight and Boko recruitment. Deku Nuts and Kotiardi. Useless. That's a equipment item for us and just some nuts for Argo to throw at things. I don't think we've had a single relevant check in here yet. Like, the closest thing to a relevant check in the entire pool we've gone through has been in one piece of Argo's Triforce. Which, don't get me wrong, that's good. But it always makes me a little bit sad when I just get a bunch of nothing checks, you know? It very much is the feeling of being that kid off to one side, just being like, I'm helping. Like, well, am I? Am I, though? Like, I'm not actually that upset about it. I find it funny, but it is a thing. You haven't found anything with move find items, so just have move +1 so you can actually do more. You go ahead and grab equip armor. You grab equip sword later. You do have a lot of points here. Actually, go ahead and grab equip sword right now, Tia. So we don't have a spare mithril sword for you right now. Because the sword will be more consistent than the bag, was what I was thinking about. So what level is your squire now? Level 7. Okay, you're almost done. Hey there, Tara. Thank you. So far, it's been going pretty well. Hopefully you're doing well today. Okay, she has mastered Squire now. She just needs a little bit more experience to get Squire 8, and then we'll move her off of that and never look at Squire again. At this point, I really should just... In fact, you know what? Hang on. Just kick you two off the team. You're never getting used. Be gone. There we go. There's a serious consideration to getting rid of Agrius as well under the same circumstances, because we do have a cap to how many units we can fit. But we'll figure that out later. We're not getting so many recruitments where it's a problem at the moment. But I needed to clear those two out because they are genuinely never going to be put to use at all. They're too under-leveled at this point. Need for me to care. Yep, off to the falls. I was debating whether to turn around and do something else first, but no. We'll just keep going. It's fine. Hey, what do you know? Bonus guild, lots of money. Yay, even more money. Fun fact, the pool is supposed to be weighted towards giving me more job points rather than giving me money out of what people should be finding for me. And yet, every one of them has been money. Like, it's supposed to be 70% job points, 30% money with the settings I set. And yet, apparently, that is a lie. It just is one of those things where it's just like, nope, nothing for you. But that's how randomness be sometimes. Speaking of randomness, what did we get here? It's a bunch of birds. Okay, this is easy. This is another fight that I had that turned into nothing but dragons of all the various flavors. And also, one of them was all Geomancers, which was not bad at all. Oh, speaking of Geomancers, Gafgarian turned into a Geomancer. And that's where Treachery comes into play. As Gafgarian, being the mercenary that he is, flips to the other side here as part of the whole conspiracy that's involved in this situation. And you also get to see, I think, the only other sprite left for Delita now, which is the sprite in between the one we started with on our side and the one we were fighting in the Trade City battle just a little bit ago, where he's currently a Holy Knight instead of an Arc Knight. So he's basically currently got the same moveset as Agrius. This being just a bunch of birds, this is not going to take long at all. We have genuinely gotten like a ridiculously easy seed compared to the test seeds I had. And I know I keep saying that, but I'm just still so flabbergasted by how that ended up playing out. Usually I end up clobbering Gafgarian and immediately here and then killing everything else. It's looking like I'm gonna be killing most of the rest of this and then him instead this time, because he's the one with health. Half the time, he ended up just being either something like one of these birds or something else with just like no health at all. The terrain here is gonna be real bad for our knights though, because you'll notice he can't actually get up there. None of them will be able to with me standing there, so it's a little bit of an issue. Go ahead and go over this way with the other one, so you can heal him to get some free experience since he did get hurt. And I'll just have you line up behind me, so that once we get past the bird, or the bird flies out of the way, whichever one happens first, we can just start pushing across the bridge from that side. Well, what I'm gonna do basically is just send 2 pairs on either side of the bridge and just meet in the middle. We'll just pincer this whole lot. Agrius can handle dealing with the one bird that jumped down. Though by the time we get up there, Delita will... Oh no, Delita has chosen to run over there and kill the bird that dropped down instead. Okay, you know what? You do you. What do I know, right? I'm merely the one guiding the majority of the party here. Clearly, I don't know what I'm talking about. You could have at least cleared the one blocking my path, since you walked down next to it, but no, you've chosen to do that instead. But it got out of the way anyway, so I guess it's fine. And you would think since his priority is protecting the princess, he'd, you know, attack the thing attacking her, too, but nope. Doesn't even have his priorities right. This game makes me laugh sometimes. You go ahead and finish that one off, and then I'll have you come up the way I had you moving. This way we can't get stuck again. Yep, you're running, okay. Just gonna run up there and geomancy over and over. Oh, and the princess is confused. That's bad. Because she's got that really good protection spell, now she's just gonna be chucking that around randomly. Agrius, you are a fucking menace. She has now once again done something awful with friendly fire, and then dove into the sea to hide her shame. God damn it. At least it's not one of my units this time, it's just a guest, but god fucking damn it. And yeah, exactly as predicted, it's just gonna be we chase Gafgarian down and beat him with sticks now. You're trying to revive somebody... Oh no, that's Death Spell 2, okay. Which does the opposite of what you might think Death Spell 2 does, by the way. That's actually like a full cleanse spell. That I assume it got translated wrong or something? But it'll remove like every status effect in the game. There we go. Bird over here is dealt with. And if you just whack somebody who's confused upside the head, they'll stop being confused. That is not life advice, by the way. Don't do that to people that are actually confused out in the wild. It will not go nearly as well. Now where are you going? Oh, you nuisance. Yep, just gonna whack you upside the head with a stick. So the problem with chasing a Geomancer is they can maneuver on terrain way better than you can, as you might expect. The good news is we do have him pincered, so he's not going far. Your only path is off the falls, Mr. Holmes. Yeah, you would think I would call him Moriarty in this situation, but at the same time, either one works. Can't reach. Okay. Point blank stone, go! Bonk. Yeah, we've got him surrounded, so no matter which way he goes, he can't really run for long. Princess immediately lashing out at her protector. And that's the end of that. And away our enemy teleports once again. Continuing the trend of nuisance teleportation. We found a trap and a hollowed fang. Okay, very good. That's 2 fast traps that Mori got sent back to back there too, which is funny. There is a shop unlock from that. Oh, that's right, yeah, because I believe that's what would trigger some stuff to be available in the shop as you proceed forward. Yeah, you know what? Learn how to scream. Why not? It's not really gonna matter, but learn it anyway, I guess. Got so used to doing extra cycling. Still didn't quite get the level she needs, because I believe it's 2,000 for 8. Just so we have somebody with 8 Squire levels. From here, I believe you ordinarily would go to Bethla Garrison, but I don't think any of the fights at Bethla are good for us right now. Because I believe there's a plot situation that happens there, and then we go somewhere else, and there's not actually a fight there immediately. Or, correction, we go there... Is that what happens there? I'm forgetting where you run into Agrius. Now, I think that's over at Lionel Castle that you would run into Agrius running down the river. His shenanigans ensue over there. Which we could go do the Gog Machine City stuff, too. I'm trying to think of what the next fight actually is supposed to be. And this is where my brain's gonna start fragmenting on that. Because sometimes the sequence of events gets weird at this point. Because you start kind of hopping around a bit. Yeah, fuck it. Let's just go to Gog. See how badly that goes for me. I feel like these are going to be over-leveled for me, too. And if it goes bad, I have a specific set of fights I could do in mind. But we're almost to the 3-hour mark, so I don't want to start that process, because there's a string of fights I would like to do together. Even though I don't have to. It would be preferable to do them together so I don't forget. I feel like this fight's going to be out of my depth right now. Unless I roll weak enemies for this. I'm gonna have one under-leveled character come into this because I forgot this is one that we don't actually have any guests for. This is also not the fight I was thinking of. Where does that fight take place? Oh no, that's the fort city that I'm thinking of, not Gog itself. This is way out of sequence for what we're doing. To a degree. I was thinking this was the fight where you met Mustadio, but this is actually afterwards, where bad decisions happen. Oh no. That doesn't look good. Yeah, this whole thing's happening because of one of the Zodiac stones. Mustadio and his father are taken, and then we have to deal with that situation. Though it is just a pair of monks and all that, so it's not too bad. The problem's gonna be those two golems. I don't remember how strong those are, but I have a feeling they're gonna be a problem. Fancy magic rock. Yeah, because I can totally trust you to hold up your end of the bargain now that the stone's in your hand. Now they're gonna kill us. Shocking turn of events there. Oh, that's bad. That's real bad. So it's 2 monks, 2 golems, and 2 behemoths. Bad times. Bad times all around. Mustadio doesn't have a gun because we haven't unlocked guns yet, so he's not allowed to have one. So he's quite literally useless. Oh, this is so bad. This is so fucking bad. They aren't over our level, because I think this is an encounter that scales to our level. Oh, that's worse than behemoths. Those are king behemoths. Oh, fuck me. Oh, and you just shoot that far, huh? So remember when I said I wasn't sure how bad those steel giants were gonna be? I didn't remember that they had death lasers. We lose. That it is a pretty safe bet here that we lose. If we don't just lose entirely, we are not getting out of this without losing someone. But it is a reasonably safe bet that we are just going to lose this fight straight up. Especially since you can't even reach him. Yeah, you can't heal yourself, but just get him back on his feet and then he'll hopefully get a turn before he gets just nuked again. Now, you're not going to heal yourself. You're going to heal him. Healing him is a higher priority than healing yourself. Because you are just level 2. You are just going to be sad and crying in a corner. Or for a lot of this. Yeah, I need you to get up here and help out post-haste. Actually, no. No, I need you on damage control, probably. Help get Leopold into a fightable position. Though he'll probably just get lasered again. But, you know, we gotta do what we gotta do. To try to salvage this. How much damage am I gonna take? 54 if it hits. Okay, that's not as bad. It's not as bad as I thought it was gonna be. I think it's because they're massively underleveled compared to where they would normally be that they're not as bad as I thought. The giants are the problem then. I also keep forgetting to switch these guys off of Weapon Guard to Auto Potion. That's why Auto Potion's not been working for them. I just now noticed that because The problem is I'm rushing to keep things moving, and I'm now realizing stupid mistakes I've made as a result of that. That golem needs to go. Can you do any real damage to it? Kind of. But yeah, that's kind of what I figured was gonna happen. He just gets elbow dropped and he's dead. Oh, that's a lot of damage. Never mind, we are 100% fucked here. Because if those steel giants can just elbow drop any of us and kill us immediately, it is so over. Yep, down he goes again. They're hurting themselves to do this, so technically I could stall them out and heal people and revive people until they die doing that. But I don't think that's gonna work. Like, I'm gonna try. I'm not gonna just roll over and die here. But the smart play probably would be just rolling over and dying here. Or I really admit. I don't dare have you attack the golem. The only play here is to try to harm its allies, because they're not going to keep losing health. Yeah, 100% chance to hit with the stab up now, though. It depends on what you want, really, yeah. But it is the one I like the most, I would say. But, you know. It's not everybody's cup of tea with it being more of a strategy game instead of a, hey, just have high number and win game. Though you can high number win game this, too. We're just in a very awful position right now because the randomizer decided death. Oh yeah, I know. I was just providing context for the argument that would be there. Yeah, Steel Giants and King Behemoths here in Go, that's not happening. Yep, here comes the elbow drop. Everybody's gonna get to see the game over screen. Cause, this ain't winnable. Not with just knights and squires. This ain't happening. I knew this was gonna happen at some point. The randomizer's been softballing it for the first, like, half of this. So, inevitably, something like this was gonna pop up. The good news is, I don't think this is gonna be a required fight at any point. It may have something good for somebody in it, though, so... We will return to this at some point when we are not going to just get eviscerated. In the interest of doing faster and more checks, though, we are going to hop to Portrait of Ruin for at least a couple hours. We might come back to this, we might not today. Yeah, that sounds about right, honestly, between the two of those. I feel like Tactics Advanced 2 has more, which is good for it, but at the same time, yeah, if you're going into it fresh off of Tactics Advance 1, rather, you're not going to enjoy it.